all of our aldermen are present live and in person. I appreciate all of you coming tonight and being here and being involved and participating in this. At this time, I would like to recognize Ms. Janet, who will lead us in a word of prayer, and then Mr. Powell, who will lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance. So if you please stand.
Our gracious and heavenly Father, we come to you this evening. Thank you, Lord, for all the many blessings that you have stored upon us. Lord, we come asking that you would just continue to watch over us and keep us in your care. Lord, we come asking that you would just be with us as we go through this meeting and conduct it in the way that you would have it to be. Lord, we ask that you would give us the wisdom, knowledge, and understanding so we will be able to do in your will. These are the blessings that we do pray. Amen.
Amen. Attention, salute. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, thank you. Be seated. All right, just to give everybody sort of a bird's eye view, a little preview of what I intend to do here this evening. I've got a few preparatory comments to make about kind of where we are and what the city's budget and financial situation and plans for the next several years looks like. Then I will open the public hearing for those of you who wish to comment. And I've got 4 folks signed up who want to do that. Given that we have only 4, I'll give everybody who wishes to speak about 5 minutes. And at the 5-minute mark, if you're still up here talking, I'll ask you to wind up your comments so we can move on. With that said, I'm going to insist on 2 things. First off, that is to abide by time limit that I've asked you to abide by. And the second thing is to observe some level of decorum here. I do not participate in social media. However, I have seen comments on social media about this topic, including some people sitting in this room that frankly will not be allowed here tonight. We can all disagree, but we can all do so respectfully and decently with each other. And I can assure you that the people sitting here that will ultimately vote on what we do with the city's finances, all of their intentions are good. They all believe that they're going to do what they believe to be in the best interest of the city, and they will not agree on everything that is discussed here tonight, and they will probably not agree ultimately on the vote, but they will do so and have always done so with a level of decency and respect for each other. And so I'm going to insist on that. We are a civilized society and we're good people, and we're going to do so with decency and respect for everybody here. So with that said, I want to talk about a little bit about the city's budget and what we see in the forecast. And I want to start with, Scott, if you would give me sheet number 1. I want to talk a little bit about where we are in terms of our current 12 mil tax rate. And I want to talk about what it will look like and how that will impact the city's cash balance fund over the next many years. So I wish I had a pointer, but I guess I could stand up and use this. You'll see this is a 12 mil tax levy. These are our revenues. I shouldn't have done that. These are our revenues. They were basically $6,360,000 across the board. You see this $7.4 million revenue. That is because we have recouped some money that is a one-time payment that we will not receive for the rest of the year. So basically, we're looking at revenues $6.3 million throughout. You will see our expenditures and how they change over the next several years. And this is the net budget deficit that we would run at 12 mils over the next several years. And here is our projected ending bank balance over the next several years. So if we were to adopt the 12 mil tax levy and spend the money that we project to spend at the end of September 2026, we would have $2 million in the bank. At the end of 27, we would be 4.7 in the red, and you can see down to 2030, we would be essentially $8 million in the red. Now, if you go to sheet number 2, this encompasses an 18 mil levy. And what this would do in terms of revenue, you see it increases revenue about $757,000 a year. And what it would do, if you look at the bottom line with all of the expenditures being the same, what it would do to our projected bank balance. We would have 2.8 at the end of this fiscal year, 1.5 at the end of next fiscal year, and then we would run deficits at the end of 2030. We would have about a $4 million deficit. So that kind of gives you an overview as to where we would be given a 12 mil levy and an 18 mil levy. Tonight, the purpose is for the board to vote on what the tax levy will be. We have had 2 or 3 prior meetings. It has generally been discussed that would be on the table. And the reason that we're using 18 mils is I have gleaned from the discussions that that's what would likely be under consideration. The board can adopt, of course, whatever it wants to adopt. So one would think and one would correctly say, well, you know, you guys want to raise our taxes 50%, right? 12 to 18 would be 50%. What does that mean to me? What does that mean to my household finances? What does that mean to bottom line as to what I'm going to owe in terms of additional taxes? Well, at the end of the day, this is what it cost me for my house in the First Colony neighborhood. So if you do all of the taxes, I paid $4,528 in property taxes last year, of which only $473 was levied by the city of Gluckstadt. So if Gluckstadt were to raise the millage rate by 6 mils or 50%, the net effect of that on my taxes is $236.91 a year. Okay. The bottom line is that theoretical 50% increase in the millage rate boils down to a 5.2% increase in my taxes. And Ms. Kellum and Mr. Youngblood worked very diligently and prepared sheet number 4, Scott, for you guys. And I think this flyer has been handed out that shows sheet number 4, actually sheet number 5. You look at sheet number 5, you can see the average home value for the neighborhoods in the city of Gluckstadt and what that net effect would be. So if you look at, for instance, Arrington, we're talking about $200 a month. Bear Creek Crossing, $146 a year, not a month, a year. Dixon Pass, $200. First Colony, $232, and down the line. So you guys can see what the millage increase would be. It would be anywhere from $276 a year down to $124 for the Ridgefield subdivision. So I want you guys to all understand what the net impact of a millage rate increase from 12 to 16 would be. Now, I want to talk about the expenditure side. We talked a little bit about the revenue side. I want to talk about the expenditure side. And the budgets that have been adopted by the city have all been published. You can see, everybody here can see every penny that the city of Gluckstadt spends. And if you look at the budgets over the next several years, use my fancy pointer again, you can see that what we're really talking about in terms of additional or extraordinary expenditures over the next many years is really comprised of 2 things. First, Gluckstadt Road and our Gluckstadt Road widening project in an effort to eliminate or reduce the impact of the traffic burden that we have, and also this park project. So I want to talk about both of those things for a moment. The first thing is Gluckstadt Road. In order to widen Gluckstadt Road, the figure that we have been provided is about $9 million. That's a lot of money to widen the road, but we have a lot of traffic, and that is the main thoroughfare through the city, and that's the city's largest problem right now is the flow of traffic. You will see that it's going to cost us $9 million to widen this. However, we have already gotten from the legislature $750,000 to offset the city's part of that $9 million bill. We've also gotten about $4 million in grant money to offset some of the cost of that project. The city is going to be left with about $4 to $5 million to otherwise widen Gluckstadt Road. So when one thinks $9 million is a lot of money to widen Gluckstadt Road, I want you to understand that we're able to leverage a lot of legislative appropriated money and grant appropriated money. This is our matching requirement. So we're able to take $4 to $5 million of city funds and get $9 or so million worth of benefit for that. Okay, that's the first thing I'll say about Gluckstadt Road. Second thing I'll say is the park project. The park is going to cost us about $6 million. That is what the tentative preliminary plans to build Gluckstadt's first city park, what it will cost, about $6 million. I want everybody to understand a few things about that. First and foremost, the land was donated to the city. Somebody donated 18 to 20 or so acres. It did not cost the city one penny in order to build and develop this park. The second thing is, again, with an idea about leveraging city money. We have a commitment from a private entity to spend somewhere near $3 million to help us deliver that park. So if we come in and decide that we're going to do this and we're going to develop this park, we've got to do some of the preliminary things. We've got to do engineering. We've got to do some infrastructure work. We've got to do some basic development. But this private entity is going to come in and build things and put in playground equipment, put in walking trails, maybe put in a splash pad and an amphitheater. Again, the city may wind up spending $3 or so million, and I think that we're really pretty well situated that we may get a grant for $1 or $1.5 million to even further offset that. But the bottom line is $6 million park may wind up costing the city $3 million at the worst, and may even be far less than that. So those are the two big ticket items that are doing to the budget what you see set forth in these illustrations. We conducted a survey not long ago that asked those, and there were several that responded to the survey, and we asked them to identify things such as the biggest problems that they saw in the city and what they wanted to see in the city. The biggest problem that people identified was traffic. You don't need to be a traffic engineer or do a study probably to identify that traffic's a huge problem. The second thing is a lot of people are really hungry for recreational type activities in the city. They want parks, they want green spaces, they want places they can take their children. And so these two big ticket items are really designed to try to meet what the public has clamored for in terms of identifying our problems and also trying to eliminate them. So I just wanted everybody to understand sort of an overview, 50,000 foot level of what the tax millage rate really means to the bottom line at your house, and what it really means to the bottom line in my house. And hopefully this has been helpful to you. All of these documents that I've showed you are available. We can provide them to anybody who wants them. So those are my comments. At this time, I will open the public hearing for any comment that wishes to be made. And I have, like I said earlier, I have 4 names on the sheet. I will start with Mr. Stone Street. Mr. Stone Street, come to the podium. I have you as living at Munich Drive.
120 Munich Drive.
Yes, sir. You have the floor, sir.
Good evening. Good to see y'all. I've seen some of y'all for a while. I just wanted to come up and speak on the budget mainly. I'm seeing deficit spending that we're doing right now and we're planning to do next year. And even with a tax levy of an extra 6 mills, we're going to still be deficit spending next year. And according to the mayor's own spreadsheets here, the city's own spreadsheets, we're going to continue deficit spending through 2029. I really wish these had been made available at the same time. These were 24 hours before the meeting was called last night. That seems rather dim to me, but maybe y'all were busy doing something else. I'm sure y'all were. The idea here is that, everybody wants a park. Everybody wants good roads. I noticed we have a brand new paving out here in front of City Hall. While the Calhoun Parkway is, you can't even drive in southbound lane without driving either the center of the road or all the way to the right. I want a park. I don't know if I want a $7 million park, $6.5–7 million. You include budget overruns with the numbers, which I'm sure you probably have added some of those in, looking at least 10–15% over the projected budget numbers. So now we're looking at maybe $8 million for that park. Is it worth it at this point over the next 3 to 5 years doing that and possibly costing the city, opportunities for new housing developments, opportunities for more businesses, and costing the people who live here and work here and buy here? I shop at Sullivan's 2 or 3 times a week, and I know a few $1,000s at Sullivan's is not a huge deal, but they're going to take that from me at some point. And they're going to take it from Lee here and Terry and you. So that makes a difference. It makes a real difference. If we set a tone now of doing this, we're going to continue that road on down 5 years, 10 years from now. Deficit spending, and then instead of living within our means like you and I have to do in our homes, putting out a wish list in budget terms and then trying to tax our way up to that. I just don't see that as being a prudent course. Again, I see it as rather dim to do that. And I believe that we can find another way. I think we can put off, some of our priorities to the future until we are a larger city, until we do have a bigger tax base, until we hopefully get some sort of expansion out to the north and west, or to the west at least. I don't think the southern expansion is going to work. But the idea is that, maybe we live within our means for a while. We're a brand new city. We're still a brand new city, for God's sakes. This is not something that, we have to have today. Personally, I would love a park. My kids had to go all over the Tri-County area to play softball, basketball, everything else, soccer. It was pitiful. And we were running all over the place. I know a lot of people in this room will probably experience that. And, it's a great thing to have a park. It's not something that we have to have right now. It's not something we have to spend $7, $8, $9 million on. And that's, I keep going up every time I talk about it, but I know, I remember what the police station was originally scheduled to be as far as cost. And I think some of y'all can probably testify to that number and what happened to that number over the course of 2 or 3 years, because inflation does happen. And nobody is saying it doesn't. But, we could easily be looking at something extraordinary. Last thing is the fact that, you guys are setting the tone for the next 2 or 3 years. And, 2 years from now, we're going to come back to this room and go from 18% to 24%. And you'll be making excuses and rationalizing. Human beings are great at rationalizing things. I've noticed that over my 56 years. And the fact is that, you know, we will end up doing that in another 4 years if we don't put a halt on it now. Nobody's saying that taxes are evil. Taxes are necessary to run the pieces of government that we have to put forward and what all of us want as a community.
Those are your 5 minutes.
I appreciate it. Y'all have a good
Thank you,
night.
sir. Thank you.
I would stick around. My wife's in the hospital, so y'all have a good night.
All right, I have Sean Dodds. Mr. Dodds, welcome, sir. Your address is located at 381 Distribution Drive?
Yes, sir. I'm the owner of Camping Trail.
Okay, yes, sir.
Good to see all y'all, and thank you for letting me address you tonight.
Sure.
So, my wife and I have been talking about this. Of course, it's been a hot topic over the whole week. So, you know, the city becoming the city, I mean, it's inevitable. We understand that. We knew that. I mean, it's just all part of growth. Taxes are inevitable. We get that. We understand that as well. My biggest thing is, why such the big jump? You know, why can't we meet in the middle somewhere in the 14 to 15 category instead of jumping to 18? I see your budget, what you're proposing. I kind of agree with Sam. You know, I like the part. I don't live in Gluckstadt, but I operate my business in Gluckstadt. So that's not a huge thing for me, which was probably majority of the business owners in Gluckstadt, speaking as a business owner rather than a resident. And I think the overall goal for the city of Gluckstadt is to attract more businesses. I mean, we're City of Ridgeland sitting at 20 mil. We're talking about going to 18, but they have a lot more businesses that are paying more taxes. So therefore their tax base is a lot higher. I just think that I feel like that 18 is a little high. I feel like the timing is a little bad. You got 2 months before this increase goes into effect. 90% of your business around here pay triple net leases. So they're going to be the ones that are paying for that. The property owner is going to pass it off to them. So they've had no time to budget for that. I don't lease my property. I own all my properties. So I'm looking as the inside looking out at the other businesses around here that are operating out of all of these shopping centers and whatnot, that they're paying triple net leases. I've talked to several folks, the Mississippi Man owner and whatnot, and that's always a painful check for him to write is his triple net lease payment. So they've had no time to prepare for a tax increase that's going to come February 1 that's initiated on November 1. And, so a little bit of an increase would probably help them a little bit more than, say, running up to 18 mil. But, I mean, that's just my opinion. Like I said, as a business owner in the city now, it's been a little bit of a struggle. Mayor, you and I have sat down and talked about this a couple of times with, code enforcement coming about with the new ordinances and not knowing what those ordinances are and the attitude in which the gentleman presented himself into my business about certain things that I had on my life. And I just think there's better ways that, things can be handled that way. You may have handled that situation. I don't know. He hasn't stepped foot back in my business since. So, but, operating in the county for 40 years, we've been at that location for 40 years, and we don't know what the new ordinances are, I know it's probably our job to investigate those and look at those, but when you've been sitting in one spot for 40 years, it's kind of like business as usual, we had, prior to the city, we had pretty good police protection, we had awesome fire protection, we had garbage collection, and we had all that. So, the benefits of the city, I don't know where they really have come in yet, other than the fact of certain things that have not allowed me to be able to promote stuff on my life, my business. And I understand we're trying to keep the overall look of Gluckstadt in a certain field, and I get that and understand that. I wouldn't want to do anything at my place that would junk anything up. But we've been kind of restricted a little bit of that. I understand we can put up temporary signs and stuff if we come pay a fee to do that. But that's the only other thing that I have. But as far as the tax stuff, I think timing is bad. And it just doesn't give people time to prepare for the February 1 date. So
Mr. Dodds, I recall that meeting, and, as I recall, there were two topics that we discussed in our meeting. First topic had to do with the enforcement of the sign ordinance.
Correct.
Do you recall what the second topic was?
Ooh. All right,
You had another issue that you brought to my attention on behalf of the city, and it had to do with the condition of the street
Yep.
leading to your building.
yeah, yep, and it's lit, and I love it.
It had to do with distribution drive.
Yep.
And that it was in significant disrepair, and you believe that it was negatively impacting your building.
Yep.
Correct?
That's correct.
How's that street now?
It's wonderful.
You can land an airplane on it.
You could.
So
Except for the curves, yes, you could.
I just want to, let's be fair here. The city has not only done a lot of things positively for this community, but it actually did something that you asked for directly to your business.
Yeah.
Right? So let's be fair here, and I appreciate your comments.
Yeah,
I
for
just
sure.
wanted to make sure that our record.
Yeah, absolutely.
Thank you,
Absolutely.
sir.
Yep, thank you very much.
All right, I think this is Gerald Moore. I hope I didn't mispronounce that or misidentify. Gerald Moore? Mr. Moore, yes, sir. You have identified your address as Distribution Place?
Distribution Drive. Spitting distance from
Okay,
where we're
Mr.
sitting.
Moore. All right, welcome, sir.
I'm sorry I did not send that paper. I didn't know what I was supposed to.
Well, I see Gerald Moore. Is that you? Gerald Moore?
That's me,
Okay,
unless
you
there's
signed
another
it.
one in here.
Somebody signed it for you. Anyway,
John Taylor sitting over there. He knows who I am.
yes, sir.
I go along with what Sean Dodd said. I'm not a speaker. Matter of fact, I'm a damn bad speaker.
You're doing a
I ain't
great-
gonna
you're
take
doing a
5
great
minutes,
job.
sir.
You're doing a great job. You go ahead.
I own 2 lots right across the street here, spitting distance from us. Moore's Carpet and then the electronics place. I went to them when I heard about this a week or so ago and broke the news to them. I said, if it goes to up to 18, I said, it's gonna be an increase. It's gonna be pretty good. They've been there 20 years and I have not went up on one dime. Maybe that'll change it. I may have to go up on them. I love the city of Gluckstadt. I knew about 5 years after we bought property here that we was either gonna wind up being in the city limits of Canton, city limits of Madison, or the city limits of Gluckstadt. And I'm proud the way it stands right now. I think the millage is too high. But I'm not an Einstein on this. When it affects my billfold, you get my attention. I appreciate it.
Yes, sir. Thanks for that. And last, I have Scott Hammock. Mr. Hammock. Mr. Hammock, I had you at Sawell Road.
Yeah, 135.
Is that where you live?
No, sir. I own a business there.
Okay.
I think, you can see from everyone that's spoken tonight, they're business owners. There's not a first resident that's stepping up because it's, as a business owner, we actually have no voice other than coming up here and speaking. We can't vote. We can't try to be on the board with y'all. We can't run for mayor. We have nothing other than pay more taxes than anybody in town. So, and I'm fine with that. I knew that when I signed up to be a business owner. One thing, this is not a condescending statement, so please don't take that. But I read through the Board of Aldermen, and as far as I can tell, there's one person up there, Mr. Taylor, and I knew your dad by there, like, so that's run a business, has to run payroll, has to do all these things. So every time matters, and maybe I'm wrong in that, but I did read y'all's bios.
I think
If you didn't include it,
grossly wrong about that.
okay, well, clear your bios up.
Yeah.
So, okay, so I'm wrong on that. The park. What kind of parks? This is gonna be for jungle gyms and whatnot and stuff. I heard, splash pad and stuff like that, or is there any kind of projected revenue that park may generate?
There's no projected revenue, and it is, I don't think there are any plans now for it to be a fee-based park where.
Not
people
fee-based,
will
I
have
actually
to
thought
pay
it
to-
is, will there ever be ball fields and stuff like that that are money generators?
Yeah, the preliminary plans do not include ball fields. Now, the preliminary plans and illustrations and drawings are all available because they've been published previously. But if anybody wants to see preliminary drawings as to what would be included, we can make that available. Chris Buckner, our public works guy, who's been very instrumental in that, is here, and that's all on the website, or could certainly be put on the website. But to more specifically answer your question, and I'm not penalizing you for me talking, okay?
I won't be here.
Preliminarily, it would involve walking trails, playground equipment, exercise equipment,
Okay,
an amphitheater
Well, that
where we
answers
could
that
have
question.
events.
well, the amphitheater, that would be a fee generator. Should be.
It could conceivably be, okay, but there
Is
have
that
been
what
no
other cities
discussion.
are doing? Okay,
There've been no
that's for
discussion.
another meeting.
Yes, sir.
Okay. I will remind you that throughout all of history, there's never been anyone that taxed their way out of debt. So bear that in mind as you go forward. I'm not saying it's not possible, but increasing taxes usually never decreases the deficit. There's always something. So those are my points, and please don't take me as an irate business owner. This is the only voice I have, and I'm just trying to speak fairly.
Mr. Henry, nobody's gonna say you're irate or rude or impolite. You did exactly
Well,
what I
redheads
asked
have
you
a
to
bad reputation.
do. And so did everybody else, and that doesn't surprise me. So I
Okay.
appreciate your
Thank you for your time.
professionalism. Yes, sir. All right, at this time, I'll just call, does anybody else want to be heard on this? Sir? Yes, sir. Tell me your name,
So
sir.
my name is Alvino, Alveno, Castillo, Castilo.
And
I live on 106 Old Orchard Road, Germantown.
106 Old Orchard Road.
Yes, sir.
Okay, sir.
I just want to speak in opposition to the proposed millage increase. Like a lot of folks, I moved to this area thinking I was moving to the country and all of that, and that lasted for a while. Now we're incorporated, and that's fine. We are where we are. But I think that, as several of the other speakers have said, that the timing and amount of the proposed increase here is not good. This seems to be taking on a familiar pattern of areas that incorporate, where, the millage, you go from a county millage and you add on, and then gradually the residents and businesses are expected to, through tax increases, feed the beef, so to speak. Looking at the numbers here, and that's just a part of the incorporation for municipalities and local, state, local, and federal governments. The administrative costs, the administration here, the head of administration, zoning department, public works, so forth. That's all part of running a municipality, I know, but all that stuff just increases over time, and residents have to continually feed that growth. So that's going to happen. But I think in terms of timing, it seems to me this is way early in the game for us to be looking at a millage increase of this amount. And again, I also specifically agree that this park project is something, to me, that could be deferred till some later time and give the city a chance to grow and for the property tax and sales tax revenues to increase and be able to sustain some of these additional expenditures that we'll be looking at before jumping ahead with a tax increase at this point. So those are my comments.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. All right, at this time, I will close our public hearing.
Can anyone else come up if they want to?
Yes, sir. I had called for anybody else who wanted to.
And he came up and you just said, I'll close it.
Yes, sir.
Okay. My name's Jason McEwen,
Mr. McEwen, you live where?
266 Germantown Road.
Okay.
I just moved here a month ago. So I see your spreadsheet right here, and I noticed in 28, 29, and 30, there's still a deficit. What's the plan for that? Is it another tax increase? I'm curious to what the plan is.
Well, if you look at the projected expenditures for those cities, for those years, you will see that we come out of the significant expenditures for both the Gluckstadt Road and the park project. And over time, what we hope is that when we alleviate things like traffic and when we build things like parks, that over time, our sales tax and other revenue will increase. So that's what the hope is.
Hope is not a plan.
Well,
That's just a hope.
Hope is a plan, and I'm not gonna argue or debate you about it. But I will tell you this, have you looked at, sir, the budgets from the last 3 or 4 years? Have you gone back and studied them?
No, I just asked a simple question. What is the plan for the deficit?
The plan is to continue to try to increase revenue in the city by attracting outside development. And just like Mr. Dodds, who spoke earlier, his primary concern was his business wasn't attractive. It wasn't attractive because Distribution Drive was in very poor shape. So what did the city do? The city appropriated money and spent money to make Distribution Drive more attractive in an effort to increase his
Mr.
business.
Mayor, that was not the proof.
Am I supposed to give you kudos for widen or repairing the road?
You're not supposed to do anything.
I don't understand.
You have
I'm just trying to.
3.5 minutes is what you have.
Okay.
You have to give me anything.
I get your plan for the deficit that you're saying is happening, but we're sitting here and I'm just going to use a hypothetical scenario. We're making $100,000 a year and trying to buy a $2 million house and hoping our income comes up. No one would ever do that reasonably, a reasonable person. Why can we not just maybe do a portion of the park or something like that, or like others have said, defer it, and maybe we can get larger as a city because our millage rate isn't that big and would attract more businesses, and then we get more money, and then we can do the park. I just feel like we're trying to spend with money we don't have, and that's not how government should work. And there's always going to be something more. And then 5 years, 10 years down the road, guess what? We're going to be sitting here in the same place talking about the same thing. We need to go from 18 to 25 mills or something like that. And I just don't agree with it. Y'all are trying to spend money that the city currently doesn't have. And that's all I want to say.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Mr. Mayor, I want to address your comments.
Yes,
I didn't bring that up. You brought that up about the road, and I do appreciate the improvements. I do think it's the responsibility of the city to maintain our roads. So I do appreciate the pavement. I didn't want to bypass that. I do appreciate the new pavement. It's very nice. I'm not doubting that at all. But I did not come up and address that as you indicated when I came up.
Oh, I know you did.
Okay.
I know that's why
not the way you
that's why I
indicated.
wanted the record to be clear about, I believe you had made the comment that the city hadn't done anything. Well, that's just not true.
I didn't say the city hadn't done anything, but the county's been doing it too. They've just been doing a patch job on it,
Right.
but
They've been doing a poor job.
yeah, they have. And going to the county, Gluckstadt Road, is there not any county money that is available for one of the main arteries to go through their county to assist with that? Because I know the county does a lot of assisting with Madison and Richmond.
All right, before I close the public hearing, anybody else want to be heard? All right, this time I'll close the public hearing, but I will open now for discussion here amongst all of the board members. Anybody who wants to be heard, Mr. Powell, I know you want to go.
Sure. First, thank all y'all for coming today, and thank everybody that got up and spoke. This past Friday, I had the opportunity to meet with this lady about the America 250 project. Our country turns 250 years old next year, and and about 250 years ago, citizens stood before and they fought over taxes, and here we are today discussing taxes. So we're still 250 years later, we're still doing it. one other thing I want us to remember as we're talking about the millage rate is, you know, a typical city, like say the city of Ridgeland, their millage rate also includes our fire department in there. So currently, we're paying a 12 mil tax rate for the city. We're also paying a 10 or a little over 10 mil tax rate for our fire department. So in reality, you know, if I'm comparing apples to apples, I'm looking at about a 22 mil tax rate. And a lot of y'all probably know where I stand on this issue, which I don't support raising taxes. But anyway, you know, and not only do we have that 10 mil tax rate, but we also give the fire department $60,000 to kind of help offset some of their expenses and everything. So, 22 mils is right at my mind. So I'm thinking 18 mil, to me it's 28 mils. That's the way I'm looking at it. To address the gentleman's question a minute ago about, you know, where do we do? We keep it at a 12 mil tax rate and we get businesses in here and we grow our community. Tomorrow, for example, we have a great project that's coming for the board to vote on. It'll be a very nice furniture store, a restaurant, a good tax revenue base coming in. We have Zaxby's that's in the process of being built. We have Take 5. We have other industries that are wanting to come into our community. And I think raising that tax rate to an 18 mil is going to get them not to want to come. I'm just thinking, I know it because I talked to some of the developers. So one of the things I always try to do on hot topic issues is get out in the community, talk to citizens, talk to business owners. And I know y'all going to find this hard to believe, but every person I spoke to, nobody was in favor of this tax raise, one at the 18 mils. One developer that I spoke with who is in the process right now of working with his tenants because the other gentleman said something about business owners, whatever. So my vote did change. I used to have a business here, Bicycle Revolution. We had a bicycle shop for 8 years in Gloucester. So I can't imagine right now.
You had one in the county, not for 8 years in Gloucester.
Sorry?
You had a bicycle shop in the county.
No, so it was in Gloucester. We just closed in March. Sorry? I'm just saying though, I mean, and I've run businesses, so anyway, just kind of, I'm saying that said though, that I couldn't imagine tomorrow morning after taking a vote today, if we still had the bicycle shop, for me to walk into my business partners and say, Jeremy Paul, guess what? Last night I voted to raise our taxes because we're already struggling. Because unfortunately, COVID hit everybody hard and the economy is responding a little bit, but we're not where we need to be. And there's just been too many business owners I spoke with. Like I said a minute ago, the one developer is working with his tenants right now to, as their rent was supposed to go up, he's not bringing it up on them. And he told me that this is basically undoing everything that he's working on doing, which is try to get these tenants rents where they can be. So until things get where it opens up, like it was pre-COVID, you know, we'll get there eventually, but we're not there yet. So, I think that 12 mil tax rate is going to, leaving it that way, is going to continue to get some more businesses in here. I think as a city, we need to make sure that we're being very welcoming to businesses that want to come in. Try to make it as easy as possible without obviously cutting any corners or anything. But you know, we should have a roadmap when these people want to come in. There's no reason to go to Ridgeland or Madison. We got great places, great opportunities here, and we got a great city. Let's see here. I'm just going to comment real quick. And then just, I guess the other part, you know, just going back to the millage rate, with citizens hurting, there's no way that I could go home today and go home and tell my wife that I voted to raise our tax millage rate to 18 mils when we're trying to make ends meet, just like most everybody else, you know, paycheck to paycheck. So I think you know where I'm going to stand on this issue.
You done, Mr. Bond?
Yes, sir. Anybody else?
That's well.
Yes.
Well, while that's coming up, I want to thank everybody who got it here to
What do
speak.
you want?
I want to quote this spreadsheet.
Which one is?
This is the average value of property by neighborhood.
No.
Yes. Thank you all who came up here to speak because your voice does matter and we don't take it lightly when we hear from you guys. Sorry. Look looking at this, you'll see Canton's assessed millage, you'll see the county, you'll see Madison County Schools, and then you'll see Gluckstadt. But what's not included here is the millage rate for the fire department. And I believe Chief Davis is here. Chief Davis, could you tell us what that millage rate is?
It's a flat about 10.
10, is it flat 10? Is it flat 10 mills?
Yes, 10
Okay, so 10 mills of this, it's not reflected here on this spreadsheet. And so I want to just make a note about that because yes, the average home in the area is going to be a $204 increase, but that is not what you're currently paying. Because right now you're paying to add additional 10 mills to that. I just wanted to point that out to you.
That's what Jay said.
Yeah, so really and truly, the Gluckstadt, we're paying 22 mills in millage for the city of Gluckstadt. The second point that I want to point out is that not only is that misleading, but also there's a few tax assessed rezones and new builds that are not on our land roll currently. And there's about 6 of them that's currently not on our land roll. So there's a couple of rezones that we have voted for in the last year that is not reflected as commercial. And so that's another thing we need to take into account when we're looking at the projected revenue, is that's not reflected here on the budget that's available to the public. The third thing is I want to point out is our general fund. I looked at the general fund before I got here and I backed out anything on our claims docket that we're going to vote on tomorrow. I backed out payroll. I backed out I added back in the sales tax conversions that we will get. We haven't gotten in August, we haven't gotten in September. So looking at the total accounts at year end of September 30, 2025, we're looking at about 5.8 million. On the public budget, it has about 4.5 million. So my question is, what is the difference from our bank account to what the budget has? It has, what, like 2.9 in our public budget? Over $1.2 million difference. So what's the difference in that?
Go ahead, you can answer this.
The infrastructure projects that are coming due. So
Okay.
we've got, and Chris Buckner could probably, add
Okay,
some more
so the
detail.
infrastructure projects.
Well, let her
should they not-
explain. Go ahead.
Okay.
Yeah, so the infrastructure projects like paving and, the county, which the county does help with some of that. But we have a number of infrastructure projects that we've not done invoice for.
Okay. So is that not on the claim docket?
Not yet. We haven't gotten the
There's
invoice.
How much is that?
No.
They are on the claim docket?
There is.
So what we paid is for August or for September? On the claims docket that we're gonna vote on tomorrow,
It's for, the invoice is from August.
from August. Okay, so what is the estimated amount that we're gonna pay for September?
Chris Buckner, we may have to answer that. Which ones are outstanding, Chris?
They're all come through on,
We invoice for
Okay, so on the claims docket is what we're gonna pay for the rest of the month. That's our year end, right?
we have next month too, we'll use some old money.
Okay.
And old
What's
budget.
that estimated amount?
I don't know.
Okay, so as we stand right now, we're looking at 5.8, correct? And there's about 1.3 that we're not quite sure about.
Well,
Okay,
it was, I think the bank number now is like 4.6. With the claims docket tomorrow,
4.6, but we also have bank accounts, Calgary Station Parkway, Port Services, Forfeitures, and Gluckstadt Road. All right,
those are three, with Calhoun and those different bank accounts. I mean, you're talking about-
that's correct, but some of that money that's allocated to be spent in our budget is also included in these other bank accounts, correct?
The claims docket alone is coming out of the general fund.
Right, but I'm talking about out of all of it. So like, even though the claims docket may hit another fund, if you back that out of the total amount, this is the total amount of all cash that we have at the end of the year.
And right now we have 4.6, and then our claims docket, I believe, is
Four
about
point six in the general fund,
Yes,
right?
and the claims
Total.
docket,
Total, how much do we have right now? Total, including designated funds.
I'd have to pull the budget report.
Okay. Well, I'll move on to the next one. Last time we met, we previously discussed about refinancing the police department. and the potential of financing for the Gluckstadt Road widening. Where are we on that?
We have some preliminary projections on that, and though it can be done, and we can get more specifics, it will cost the city an enormous amount of additional interest going forward to refinance. You know, basically what you're doing is kicking the can down the road and financing that same amount of money at a higher interest rate over a longer period of time than what we have now.
Right.
So it would not be a very wise thing to do. However, we can have the guy who did the bond issue come here and speak to that.
Okay. My other question is, you mentioned, Mayor, looking at this spreadsheet right here.
Yes.
You said the $7.4 million was repeat money. What kind, can you remind us and let us know, like, what kind of repeat money that we won't receive in 2027 and 2028?
This additional $900,000 or about $1 million.
Yeah, I'll take it.
Counting station overlay.
It's Calhoun Station overlay. The federal money won't be received until FY 26.
So the project
Which-
is complete.
Is that money that will come from a capital projects fund
Mhm.
into the general fund. Now, I'm not gonna be exact on this. One portion of it is, I believe, 328,000. The other portion is 489,000. That'll hit the general fund in FY 26 one time.
Got
Hence,
Okay.
that year being.
So in this, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to.
Okay.
In this projected budget for 27 and 28, is it reflected in the donor that we have for the park? Is that 3 point whatever million, is that reflected in the 6 million?
The park project portion that you see there on the expenditures
Mhm.
totals 3.6 million.
Right,
So the 3 million is not there.
To answer your question, what we're not talking about this private entity necessarily giving money to the city per se. We're talking about them contracting with those people to develop the project.
Right.
So you know, I think a little bit about governmental accounting,
I do.
and things like grants that are paid to the city have to be accounted for in the revenue stream, and expenditures have to be accounted for in the expenditures scheme.
Right,
But when you know, some private entity decides to go ahead and contract and donate playground equipment, build a walking trail, all that, that's not gonna be captured in a revenue line.
right, but it should be,
Well,
because
I don't believe it
From
should be,
my
but I'm not an
understanding,
accountant.
and I
The
am.
budget people,
But that is an offset. You're right. It would be in the revenue, but it
Right.
would also be in the expenditure. So if
Right.
you leave it
And
out,
so-
then it.
my point I'm
Same
getting to is this spreadsheet that's on the screen now versus the spreadsheet that was passed out. It has total park revenue, I mean, expenses, excuse me, of 7 million, but here's 3.6, so that's a little bit misleading to the degree. That's all I'm saying. So, and I think that is it. I just want to keep in mind that, Tom Chang did a fabulous seminar. If you don't know who Tom Chang is, he's a CPA that works for the Office of State Auditor. And he says in his seminar that you can't tax citizens for future need. And I think it's fair to say if these revenue streams for the park project and Gluckstadt Road don't come in, I think it's fair to say that we would have to absorb those projects and wouldn't be.
oh, I think you're very accurate. If the revenue streams do not come in, I can tell you at least two things are not gonna happen. Gluckstadt Road isn't gonna be widened, and we're not gonna have a park. And one can say, well, you know, let's just not do the park. Let's just, you know, push the park down the road, but just remember that the two things that you lose if you don't do what we're suggesting to be done in this plan here, is you're going to lose the independent third parties' $3 million investment to develop the park. That will be gone. And the second thing you'll lose is the money, the federal and legislative money to do the Gluckstadt Road widening project. So it is very clear. If the tax revenue can't support it, Gluckstadt Road's not gonna be widened, and we're not gonna have a park.
And I
And I will tell you additionally, there will be necessary budget cuts to be made in other areas of the budget that are directly impacted by this, to include additional street repairs, police protection, you name it, because if we can't do it, we're not gonna do it. And that's what the citizens expect is, there's no free ride. If you want sidewalks, for instance, we have taken over the payment of utility bills for street lighting for almost every subdivision. I know every subdivision that's asked us to do that within the city. Those things cost money. And if we don't have the money, the homeowners association will just have to pay it on their own. Everything that government does is supposed to be citizen requested, what the citizenry wants, and do we have the money to pay for it? And that's undoubtedly, if we don't have the revenue, those are gonna be the top two projects that will have to be cut.
And I will say, we need to reevaluate the projected ending bank balance, because I think there might be something off with that. And that's all I'm saying. Thank you.
All right, yes, ma'am. Anybody else want to be heard? Ms. King?
I do appreciate everyone coming out and everyone having the courage to speak and say your opinion. I am the second other business owner in Gluckstadt. My business is on Gluckstadt Road. So I do see both sides to this. I see it as a resident where to me it's a few $100s a year, but as a small business owner and my fellow small business owners, it can be detrimental to their business. I think most would be fine with this tax increase. But it would be detrimental to some. But like I said, I see it both sides, and and I do talk to a lot of residents. The residents I talk to aren't here tonight, but the park is very important, and the traffic in the Gluckstadt Road is very important. And we can definitely not get any of those two things done if something is not changed. I want to address the park. It is done in stages. It's not going to be done all at one time. And I believe is Calvin Parkway part of that Gluckstadt project?
No, that's a separate.
Okay. So, but I just wanted to say that.
Ms. Cameron's out. Anybody else here?
Yeah, I got two things.
Yes, sir.
To the business owners that don't live here, thank you for coming up. You do have a voice. And I can speak for everyone up here. Thank you for coming. For those that have businesses and are residents, of course, thank you for coming up. This is not an easy task. This is not something that everybody wants to do or can do. We have looked and we have talked and we have conversed. We're all torn. All five of us, six of us have different ideas for what's going on, but we want to know that we do have your best, what you said tonight and the reason why you're here, which is great. And we're thinking about you, whatever the outcome is, I assure you. And like Jesse said, she's a business and a resident owner. Jess used to have a business as a resident, and John is currently a business and a resident. The last thing they want to do is raise taxes on themselves. So I just want you to say thank you for coming up and speaking. Wish you all had every meeting here that we could discuss. But we got hard decisions to make, and I assure you, we're thinking about each and every single one of them. But we're residents and business owners also.
Thank you, Mr. Williams. Anybody else? All right, at this time then, we need to vote on the 2026 tax levy resolution. I will call for any motions that want to be made, and if there's more than one motion, I'll probably get them all on the table established before I call for votes on
I have a motion, sir.
it. Yes, sir.
I'd like to make the motion that we keep our tax levy at 12 mil for next year.
All right, Mr. Powell has made a motion for a 12 mil tax levy. Is there a second?
Second.
Mr. Williams? Mr. Williams, second. All right, are there any other motions for additional tax levies.
Well, I make a motion for 18.
Mr. Taylor has made a motion for an 18 mil tax levy. Is there a second of that motion? All right, that motion will fail for lack of a second. Are there any other tax levy motions?
Motion for 14.
All right, Ms. Campbell has made a motion for a 14 mil tax levy. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Mr. Taylor, second. All right, any other motions for any other tax levies? All right, so we have two motions on the table. Mr. Powell made a motion to remain at 12 mils. Mr. Williams seconded. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Aye. That was Mr. Powell, Mr. Williams, and Ms. Bates. And that motion carries. All opposed?
No.
All right, that motion carries 3-2. Powell, Williams, Bates in the affirmative, Taylor and Campbell in the negative. The tax levy is adopted at 12 mils. All right, I think that is all the business tonight. I will take a motion to adjourn. Make the motion. Mr. Powell made the motion. Is there a second? Williams, second. All in favor?
All right.
Aye.